Welcome into this Thursday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready. No night show tonight. We've got a couple of things going on, and the weather, frankly, could end up being a problem at some point as the sun goes down and maybe some of this precipitation freezes, because I don't think it's going to get a lot warmer for a while here in Oxford. The Oxford schools on a 2-hour delay this morning. Lafayette closed all day, I believe, is that. Yeah, not like Daniel. He says it's negative 12 in Wyoming where he is. We're not dealing with that. We are much bigger babies than you are from a weather standpoint. Neal likes the cold, but
this doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, you're good. Just hang out, chill. You'd prefer this to 98.
The only time I like 98 is if I'm on a beach or at a pool.
Sure.
If there's water, I'm fine. But like just hanging out on a 97-degree day, I'm good.
Because even that's kind of golf course miserable. You're sweating and pouring and trying to stay hydrated, and I mean that's a mess. So
frankly, anything over about 82.
Oh, that's the number. Okay.
I mean, kind of starts getting
a little uncomfortable,
a little sticky.
Okay.
Like the people are like, "Oh, I love to get out and run in the heat."
Yeah.
Have at it.
A short run in the heat, I get. Like you open it up, sweat or whatever.
Sure.
But if it's like, oh, I'm doing this for an hour.
Yeah. I'm gonna go out and run 2 miles in the heat. Okay.
Yeah,
you're going to get out and do a 7-mile training run in the heat. You're going to be miserable. It's going to take you all day to get rehydrated.
It's the sweating. Because I'm a fairly heavy sweater anyway. It's that you've got to wait the hour and a half to even shower. Because of hot water, you're not cooling off. You're staying hot. And you get out like an hour later, like I'm still sweating. Like you can't cool down. So, yeah, that's a problem. But anyway.
It is one of the cool things about having a pool is that you can finish the run and jump into a pool and drink the Gatorade in the pool, and then you go take the shower.
Oh, okay.
And then you're typically okay,
you've leveled a little bit.
Depending on how hot it is.
Okay. Yes, we will talk about Ole Miss's blowout win over Missouri. Neal with a lot of content up on that one. Drew, you've been very consistent, and so far you're being proven right with a few games to go. We'll see where it goes. Still could fall apart for the Rebels, but they are making themselves at least in the conversation as of right now, so we'll go through that a little bit. And more. We'll talk a little about Jeff Lebby, what UCF may be doing. Talk just a very smidgen of baseball as the preseason poll came out today. I think Neal's got that somewhere.
I do. I'm prepared. This is podcast 3 of 3 today.
Final one, right?
Yeah, I think
no ring today.
I think Carson and I are going to do the ring tomorrow or even Saturday. We might even do it as some sort of a pregame content on Saturday.
All right, so we'll cover that and more today on the podcast brought to you single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Go download the Speed Pass Plus app. It's a quick and efficient way to get back on the road. When you do that, you also earn points, and earning points saves you money with all Blue Sky locations in Mississippi. And here locally, you can stop in, take advantage of the hot case with some barbecue, some chicken, some side items, and more, as well as the lunch specials that are $5.69, 2 sides bread, 32-ounce drink there at the Oxford Exxon. Again, coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. Right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around, or you can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. You will love the service. You'll love the product. You'll love everything about it. Corey wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy. People say, what does that mean? Call, and you'll find out. 662-257-1900.
Yeah, we'll get to it. I don't know that.
Oh, and I should tell you that guests join us on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. I knew I was forgetting something. Rafters Music and Food. See, I'm showing the 3 podcast in 4 hours fatigue. Get a little. I don't know how Corolla does it.
Just the hours, and because he'll do the 2 or 3 hour show and turn around and do the next day's 2 or 3 hour show.
Yeah,
and then turn around and do it again.
Now then he gets a couple of days where he doesn't do anything.
Well, he'll do his offshoot shows though, his secondary shows.
Yeah.
Like it's 3-4 days hard for hours and hours and hours. Because when he and Drew do their show, it'll typically just be like in a continuation. Like they'll finish a show and just pick up the same topic and be like, "Hey, as we were talking about a minute ago," but it's Wednesday instead of Tuesday, and they're still just rolling on. Because theirs are pretty short. I mean, they'll take 2 or 3 calls and do 35-minute shows, something like that. So it's usually like 15 minutes and then 3 5 to 10-minute calls, kind of what's going on.
It's a talent.
It's labor intensive, yeah.
But you never can tell. He's always pretty fresh.
That's the kicker, is that never going, because you have to be so energetic, especially at the beginning of a show, and being able to just kind of catch your breath, take a minute, and go, all right, here we go again. Fire it away. Because mentally, it's taxing a little bit. But nonetheless, he's the best in the world at that.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. And his Twitter game is great, too. He's one of my favorite Twitter followers because his ability to just troll people with one sentence is awesome. Anyway, Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford. It'd be a great place to hang out this weekend, watch college basketball, pro basketball. I'm sure there's some golf or something on. Ole Miss in South Carolina. It's a 5 o'clock game on Saturday. They're in Columbia, South Carolina, so you can watch that on the SEC Network at Rafters while you enjoy a burger or a po' boy or some of their appetizers. Got a great beer selection, full bar, the whole deal, wine, everything that you could possibly want. Hang out with your friends and enjoy Oxford and enjoy just that, hanging out at Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford, also in New Albany.
So, because we're not going to stand at the tunnel a long time, you made a post about Jeff Lebby this morning. It sounds like UCF is at least closing in on a decision as they have hired an athletic director from Arkansas State, and they're getting their ducks in a row a little bit.
Yeah, so I had about 3 people hit me at the same time. And so I thought, well, there's probably something to it. But let me be clear here, okay? I'm not reporting this. I'm not putting my byline on this. I'm not tweeting this. I don't have it from the kind of sourcing that I would want to have to report it. You know what that means. There's some people out there that don't. Then why are you saying it? Because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't hear something and then it happens and people are like, well, you guys never told us. We're telling you it's out there. What people are saying is that it is now expected that that's who UCF is going to hire. That he has emerged as the leading candidate, possibly the preeminent candidate, that it's moving quickly, that he's who they're laser focused on. And what I was told is if the job's offered, he's going to take it. And that offer could come as early as Friday, which is tomorrow. Now, could that change? Sure. I talked to someone who was pretty familiar with Gus Malzahn today, and I think Gus had talked to the people at UCF. And I think he went into those talks thinking he really wasn't all that interested in the job and came out of those talks saying, oh, boy, I'd have a decision to make. There are people in Gus's family who would prefer that he take a year off, do some consulting work, maybe do some TV.
Get away from the grind for a minute.
Get away from the grind a little bit. And because of Gus's personality, his family has to be pretty involved in recruiting. And I think they wouldn't mind a year off the grind. His wife wouldn't mind a year off the grind. I mean, it's when you're the head football coach, you're CEO of a corporation, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I think there's no guarantee he would take it. And then I think there are people there in Orlando who love Lebby. They love him. They've always thought the same thing that a lot of people at Ole Miss think, which is that he is a rising star in the coaching fraternity. And so we'll see. I think if it does happen, it's going to happen quickly. I get the impression that because of the late date, that a lot of coaches, not Lebby specifically, but just coaches in general are, man, if we're going to do this, let's do it. For a number of reasons. They want to give the school that they would be leaving an adequate amount of time to replace them. And then, 2, look, if you're taking the job at UCF, you got to hit the ground rolling. It's middle of February. I mean, you've got your spring to get ready. You've got to start getting started on your recruiting. You've got to figure out your roster because the calendar.
Coaches.
Yeah, the coaches, because the calendar stops for no one except Tom Brady. And you got to figure it out. So we'll see. Let's put it this way. Since I said that on the message board, I've gotten a handful of calls, and no one's told me I was wrong.
It's a weird time for Ole Miss to make that hire. Getting late in the process. Especially out of the process. No, but this is not a coaching change time of year.
No, not really. You'd have to make a hell of an offer to somebody. Now, they'll have the money to do it. You'd have to make a hell of an offer to somebody. And
I mean, they were paying him $1.2.
You know,
they are paying him $1.2.
I think Lebby would probably take Clements with him, Ole Miss's offensive line coach, if it came to that. So this would be The people that minimize it, like there's two things. The people that go, oh my God, it's the end of the world, it's over. No, it's not. Stop. I mean, it's still Lane Kiffin. He's still a brilliant offensive mind, and he has a lot of contacts throughout college football.
Yeah, sure.
The people that say, oh, well, no big deal. No, it's bigger than that.
I mean, Matt Corral is fourth coordinator.
Yeah. It's a big deal. There's no point in saying it's not a big deal. It's absolutely would be a loss, and then depending on how you filled it. And I'll go ahead and tell you, there's one name that flies around out there. To me, I go, oh, boy, I don't see that. But the name keeps popping up, and that's Graham Harrell at USC. Would he leave USC to come to Ole Miss for the same spot? It would be –
and so much of it is just kind of connected to that dude. I mean, because we heard Kendall Briles, we heard Graham Harrell. You know what I mean? You're just kind of hearing the –
well, you wonder what kind of title you'd have to put on that to make that work. To make the USC offensive coordinator leave to take the Ole Miss
the lateral job,
and I would say it was a lateral job if you were leaving Ole Miss for USC. So
either way,
I'm not insulting. I'm saying it you're leaving one Power 5 OC job for another Power 5 OC job,
and that's hard to do. I mean, it's
I mean, if you're Graham Harrell, what's in it for you, right? Unless it's money, and I don't know what he makes at USC. I would assume that he's making 7 figures. Maybe you'll pull that up.
Me.
I was looking for me. So, I don't know. I'm told Lebby would absolutely take the job. Makes sense. UCF's a great group of 5 job. It might be the best group of 5 job. And the last two coaches at UCF are now the head coaches at Nebraska and Tennessee. So it's proven that you can leave there and get big-time Power 5 jobs. And if what I'm told about Jeff Lebby, which is he really likes it here, and his wife really likes it here, and they've really enjoyed it, if somewhere in the recesses of your mind you're thinking, I wouldn't mind coming back to Ole Miss as the head coach one day, having head coaching experience on your resume maybe enhances that opportunity.
Graham Harrell, is he making the exact same salary as Jeff Lebby? He is making over 3 years, $3.6 million, 1.2 a year.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's a buyout associated with that.
Yeah.
It would be complicated. I don't see it. Do you? That doesn't really smack of.
Not unless Graham Harrell somehow thinks that Clay Helton is a complete and utter train wreck and is trying to beat the cavalry on the way out of town.
Right.
That's the only way that makes sense.
And frankly, Graham Harrell is sometimes mentioned as the next guy at USC.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That doesn't.
And Lane hasn't been at Ole Miss long enough to do a head coach in waiting.
Well, no.
Title.
1 year.
Right. So that it just doesn't make
sense. Well, there's no stability is going to be like that. Just that
we're off the rails on this now, but it just doesn't. When that name comes up, I'm like,
because people around Ole Miss unofficially going, hey, well, I mean, if Kiffin hang around a little while, and then maybe Lebby's the next guy, but it's a very unofficial thing, though. Yes. It's just this. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the scenario that people paint is, and look, it's realistic. Let's say Ole Miss goes 10-2. Okay. Ole Miss goes 10-2, and they light the world on fire offensively. And Matt Corral is in New York that night, finishes third for the Heisman, gets drafted 17th overall to the Bears or something. Okay,
sure.
Just for kicks and giggles. UCLA opens up, and Lane takes it to get closer to home and to his family.
Sure.
And you're rolling right along. Recruiting's going great. Makes sense. Be the easy thing to do. Now, there'd be criticism even in that scenario, because now all of a sudden the Ole Miss job for the first time in, as long as I can remember, would be super attractive. And who knows who might express interest?
Oh.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Because the job's always been hey, look, man,
there's some stuff.
This could really be a good job, but right now it's kind of a crappy job. Well, in the scenario I just painted, it's a pretty good job. You just won a bunch of games. They've already announced a capital campaign to do all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Fans are excited. Your roster has some stuff to work with. Who knows who might call his agent and go, hey, put a feeler in on that Ole Miss deal.
Yeah.
And that's how that works. So, who knows? In the past, it's been you beg Dave Doran to take the job because Willie Taggart's like, no. I mean, that's, you go hire Lane Kiffin at a time when.
Well, they booked a plane to get Doran.
They did. A breakfast and everything.
Yeah.
You go get Lane Kiffin at a time when he's at FAU and he's looking for that first big gig, and Arkansas dragged its feet because they just weren't quite so sure. That's being real. Well, a year from now, 2 years from now, if things go the way that a lot of people think it has a chance to go, it's a totally different job, and you're suddenly fishing in different waters. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. It was a Jeff Lebby conversation, not a Lane Kiffin conversation. We were painting a picture.
Yeah.
It
someone
had nothing
upset.
to do with UCLA.
Huh?
Yeah, the UCLA thing. It had nothing to do with UCLA. We were just picking schools.
Yeah, I just
to discuss coaching and waiting, Lane has to leave to have that conversation.
Right.
That was.
I'm painting a scenario. It could be the NFL. It could be whatever. I don't know. Who knows?
You get into like PR and marketing and join a firm somewhere. I mean, get out of coaching. I don't know, something.
I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah, whatever.
He likes yoga.
Open a bunch of studios.
Yeah, open a studio.
Manhattan Beach.
Open a chain.
I think there's money in that. Right place, right time.
Probably not $4 million kind of money, but money.
Need a lot of studios.
I mean, I'm
for
sure.
that kind of
I'm
money
sure you could do well, but it'd be a little more legwork than
he's currently getting.
Probably you'd want to do.
Yeah.
At his age.
That's fair. And look, they overlapped, but there's been no indication that the new AD at UCF and Gus Malzahn were like having dinner every Saturday and are like lifelong buddies or anything. So that's just a school association.
Well, I don't think they overlap much at all.
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 months, if I'm correct.
They know one another.
Sure.
Have we figured out how to pronounce his name yet? Or are we still just kind of whatever on that one?
Who?
The AD at UCF. What's his last name?
I'm looking.
I was scared to try to pronounce it earlier.
UCF releases a statement as the search continues for. This is like from a minute ago.
Really?
I don't. That's weird.
What'd they say?
It's collegefootball.gameday.blogs. I don't. Never heard of that before.
That doesn't sound good.
No, sounds like a lot. Terry Mohajir?
Is it Mohajir?
Mohajir?
We're gonna go to break and we're gonna talk basketball in a second. But there's a report the Seahawks management's actually annoyed with what Russell Wilson said yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Are we that sensitive?
Yeah, everybody's sensitive. All he said was that he'd like to have a role in personnel.
He said he would like to not get sacked as much where he can play 10 more years.
Said he don't want to get hit.
And
as
he
much.
admitted it was his fault that he does it some of the times because
Sure.
he runs all over the creation.
Yeah.
Because they're actually a very average offensive line. They're not bad. They're just not good.
Well, they got it to me the day that they lost to Chicago in Seattle. No, not Chicago, the Giants. They lost to the Giants.
That's right. Yeah.
I watched that game. For some reason, I got into that game and watched the whole thing, and I went, ooh, they're nowhere close.
And then in the playoffs, the Rams D-line murdered
remember
them.
I told you that day. I
Yeah.
said, they're nowhere close to a Super Bowl contender. What are we talking about?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, well, the brass will get over it, or there will be plenty of suitors lined up to take Russell Wilson off their hands, one or the other. So I think it's going to be all right for Russ as he moves forward. So anyway, we'll talk basketball in a minute before we do have to talk about community mortgage. Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. They're getting local underwriting, understands your market, a leader in condo financing, the float down option, and more. You can find Jason at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
We are also brought to you by our friends at Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the place to go. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles, great lease deals as well. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. Also brought to you by Lammons Fine Jewelry. Speaking of Chasing the Ring, they sponsor Chasing the Ring. Lammons Fine Jewelry does. We'll have that sometime for you in the next 48 hours or so. They're located at 1126 North Lamar Boulevard in Oxford. Be a perfect place for you to go finish that Valentine's Day shopping. They have been serving the Oxford area for more than 73 years. Engagement rings, wedding rings, fine jewelry, watches, pearls, you name it. They've got it. It's the gold standard in fine jewelry. Visit them at LammonsFineJewelry.com or call them at 662-234-2777. Also brought to you by Muddy Water Camo. Go to muddywateroutdoors.com. All you got to do is go in there. You don't have to enter a promo code or anything. Get the buy one of the Tri-Zone heated jackets with the free My Charge portable battery charger, and buy one, you get one free. All you got to do is put it in your mailbag, in your cart. The other one automatically goes in, no charge. Chase had a great idea. Buy one for yourself and buy another one and save it and make it a Christmas gift. Get way ahead. Or be greedy and get two. Get one camo and one black. You'll have one for hunting and you'll have one to go to the ball games or whatnot. As attendance starts to rise around the country, maybe it's a good sign that some of these cold Friday evenings in Oxford, more of you will be able to go to a football game or a baseball game or a football scrimmage or whatnot. So we'll see. Anyway, go to muddywateroutdoors.com and you can take care of that. We're also brought to you by Comer Heating and Air. It's cold out now. It's going to get warmer soon. All the changes. You want to make sure your heating and air systems are in tip-top shape, so get in touch with Comer. It's a name you can trust. They bring more than 50 years of professional HVAC experience to Oxford, Tupelo, and the surrounding area. 662-801-1777.
Podcast is brought to you by Visit Oxford. Visit oxfordms.net. I'm sorry, .com, not .net. Visit oxfordms.com is the website. It's not like 1998. Most people are .com now, not .net. But anyway, you can find out where to eat, where to stay, do, and see, as well as the events page. Just /events to find out what is going on locally in Oxford this week and every week. Got a lot of sporting events kicking off soon, with baseball season not far away, basketball season continuing, and more, as well as any cultural activities going on here locally in Oxford. So take advantage of that and more, again, at the website. Visit oxfordms.com. So basketball last night, Ole Miss 80, Missouri 59. The Rebels, really the most complete game I've seen out of them in a really long time. I cannot remember even really what to compare it to. 21-point win in a game that was a toss-up by pretty much everybody coming into it. Ole Miss shooting the lights out, 56.9% from the field, 38% from three, and then they hit 14 of their 17 free throws. Missouri, on the other hand, actually did pretty well from the field, but they did pretty poorly with everything else, including couldn't make a free throw to save their life. They went 5 of 15 from the charity stripe last night for the Tigers. But nonetheless, they did pretty well, 48% from the field, 42% from three. But Ole Miss out-hustled, outplayed, out-schemed them. It was from that 3 or 4 minutes left in the first half, it was a pretty thorough ass-kicking from that point on.
See, I have a slightly different take.
Okay.
There's 2 reasons that I think this was the biggest win of the season for Ole Miss.
Okay.
One is Missouri's a good team, and I thought Missouri played a good first half.
They did. Yeah.
37 points. That's on pace to 74 points, which typically against Ole Miss
is about right.
About right.
Yeah.
I thought Ole Miss just outplayed them in the first half. And then the second thing, and I thought this was huge, Hadim C's not available. And as much as Romello White tried not to get into foul trouble, he got into foul trouble. Romello only played, let's see, I've got it here. Romello only played 12 minutes and change. 12 minutes. Gets 6 points, couple boards. If I told you before the game, hey, Hadim C's not going to play, Romello's going to get in foul trouble, he's only going to play 12 minutes, get 6 points, 2 boards, you'd say, uh-oh, trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, guys stepped up last night. Sammy Hunter was just terrific for what they asked of him. Robert Allen was very good. Again, he's emerging as a very steady role player. And then KJ returned. And I thought KJ returning was big. 26 minutes. He was completely engaged. 9 points, 6 rebounds.
4 assists.
Very active.
Couple blocks, 3 steals. Damn, hell of a line.
Had a hell of a line. On a night when you know you're going to get your points from your guards, you got 36 combined from Joyner and Schuler. And then you get another big night from Luis Rodriguez. They're beginning to look the part. And then I'll tell you who I thought had a sneaky, really good line. Matthew Morrell plays 16 minutes. Nothing fancy. But he gets 5 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. I'm sorry, 1 steal.
Yeah.
Pretty solid. And all of a sudden, pieces work. They play with synergy for the first time in a while. Now over 2.5 games. They look like they have some chemistry. They're starting to play with some confidence. They're starting to shoot with some confidence. They always have defended with a degree of confidence, but now as the shots are falling, they're even defending with more confidence.
And it's not, I mean, it is the shots falling because that's basketball, but also just being so much more committed to running their offense inside out. Even without Romello in the game last night. I mean, being able to, it just opens everything up so much better.
Well, they're not forcing threes.
They're not frenetic. Yeah, it's the guards coming down and freaking out, not really know what to do, and just throwing balls up. Because that happened a lot early in the season, especially against Georgia both times.
Yeah, because I think if you offered Kermit 8 for 21 from 3 night after night, he'd probably take that.
That's.
I mean, I don't know that he's ever going to have a team that's going, 12 for 24 from 3 consistently. I just doesn't.
Not really his jam.
Well, it just doesn't really feel like this team can do that. But I thought they took good shots yesterday. I thought they ran good offense. I thought they played with a good pace. I thought they played with confidence. And so here they are.
56 in the net, moved up 9 spots last night.
You touched on it this morning on a message board post. I wrote a column about sort of where they are.
Jeffrey had a good post on it in the same thread this morning.
What did he say?
He was talking about I mean, in some ways he was calling me a Debbie Downer, but not really. Because my point was not everybody, some people kept writing about how they had 4 quad 1 wins, and they didn't because, frankly, they hurt Missouri's resume. Missouri fell from 25 to 34 or whatever it was in the net, and for a home game, for it to be quad 1, you have to beat a top 30 team.
Right.
Top 50 neutral site, top 75 on the road. Now, there's more to it, but that's the way do you get quad 1 wins. So last night what happened was Missouri fell out of a quad 1 into a quad 2 because it was a home game. And also State getting blitzed by LSU last night dropped them into a quad 2 instead of a quad 1 win in Starkville because they didn't stay in the top 75. So Ole Miss actually went from 3 to 2 even by winning the game last night, just the quirky way it happened. So my point was simply, don't get caught up on that right now. Just put yourself in pretty good situations. See where the end of the year quad stuff ranks. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you're going to play State. You beat them. Their quad, whatever. Just win games and let it all kind of work out from a statistic standpoint. Jeffrey was talking about that the big thing they did last night was when you look at resumes, frankly, their eye test right now is excellent. Yeah. But when you look at resumes and different things, they've moved themselves up into the conversation in the same category with these teams that are either in the tournament or on the bubble with all the bracketologies. They shifted a tier last night is what they did. When you start looking at all their different metrics, no matter how you want to sort out quad 1 games, now they're in that tier with a lot of teams that are getting mentioned by Lenardi of in or in an 11 seed or the first 4 out or whatever. They essentially moved into the conversation at the end of the night.
Yeah, they're definitely in the conversation.
And on a year where the eye test is going to matter more than whatever, these 2 wins against Tennessee and Missouri are huge because Tennessee and Missouri are seen as very quality Sweet 16 type teams going into this postseason.
Yeah.
Because Missouri just came off a freaking win over Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And like Gary Parrish yesterday, somebody said, hey, out of the teams that are not ranked in the top 10 of the country, which one might win the national title? Alabama was his pick outside of that.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, so the following is not particularly politically correct, and it's sourced kind of weird, but I sort of feel like Joe Lenardi must be hearing some of the same things because, like you said, some of his comments lead me to believe this too. This is would you say $750 million?
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, the March Madness gives the NCAA somewhere between $750 and $800 million a year.
All right, let's call it $775 million.
Sure.
This is a $775 million tournament. That's what this is. This is a money grab for an organization that is desperate for the money.
And lost it last year.
Didn't have it last year. Had an insurance policy that covered them for 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year. They've used the insurance policy. They need the money. What does Ole Miss offer that a lot of other schools don't? SEC affiliation, meaning
their name.
You know what they are from a COVID standpoint. They're wearing the thing. They've got the track record. You've got all the COVID contact tracing. They've had a bunch of positives, so you kind of feel like you got some immunity here. The coaches had it. Don't kid yourself. They want to get this tournament played. 68 games, 67 games, 68 teams in about 2.5 weeks. They want to play the tournament. That's why I think teams like Ole Miss Ole Miss can't screw around the rest of the way. They've got to win. They've got to keep winning. I mean, they can't. They got 5 games left regular season, or 6.
I had to look. I don't
At
know.
South Carolina, Mississippi State,
Kentucky,
at
Vanderbilt,
Missouri. Yeah, so 5. They got to win 4 of those games to feel great about it. 3 to feel like you're okay. Who knows what's going to happen with Nashville? As I wrote this morning, there's more optimism today than there's been in a long time that tournament's going to go down. I don't know what the hell it's going to look like, but that it's going to go down. But you can't count on it. You can't bank on it. You can't write that down in ink right now and go, okay, well, we can go win a couple in Nashville. Might not. But then you start looking at, that's what I wrote the line, their net's 56 or whatever, and that might be good. It might not be good. Who knows? Because no one really knows what the committee's going to be looking at or not looking at, because this is not a typical year.
The team that struck me, to prove your point a little bit, was Oregon.
Yeah.
Pac-12 team, same resources, that kind of thing. The Ducks have a good record. They're 5-3 in the Pac-12. They're 10-4 overall. But you look at their metrics. They're only 1-2 in Quad 1, and their net's 59, and they're a 12 seed. And I went, oh. Safe, not safely in, but in. 59.
Yeah. So, I think they're going to take a lot of Power 5 teams. Those teams have been tested the most. When I say tested, I mean COVID tested.
Mm-hmm.
Their brands, you're not packing arenas in all likelihood. We'll see. I think they're in a little better shape than maybe some of us give them credit for being. And to their credit, I mean, I've had some people go, oh, they've proved you wrong. I'm like, no, okay. I want to see the people who, after they got beat in Arkansas, and I was there that night, and then they lost at Georgia, I want to see the people who saw this coming. I didn't. It's a credit to them. I asked Kermit about it last night, and he talked about how they spent a lot of time sort of working on the area between the ears. And
I know it's a named team, but like North Carolina, they're in as a 10 seed with a 54 net.
right.
Stanford in as an 11 seed with a 58 net.
If you're TNT or TBS or CBS, you want North Carolina, or do you want Bowling Green?
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
I mean, who do you want? I want Carolina. I want something that I can at least market.
Yeah, we'll act like you're good for a year.
Yeah. This is a money grab. I want the biggest names I can get. That's just me.
I mean,
one of the reasons I think the tournament might actually get played is the SEC tournament, that is it's one more opportunity to see if just maybe Kentucky can happen to play its way in.
do you really?
I do, seriously. Now, I don't think the SEC office is sitting around saying that, but I think it's kind of one of those things that people think about in the back of their minds. Well, if Kentucky went on a run, that would be
Minnesota, 52 in the net, a 9 seed.
Yeah.
Comfortably in.
Look, if you told me that Ole Miss beat South Carolina on Saturday and then turned around and beat Mississippi State next, because I think they don't play again until next Saturday, I'd say, well, there you go. I think you'd start seeing them in the projections as like an 11 or a 12 seed. Then I think you can lose at Missouri and it's not the end of the world. And you can't lose at Vanderbilt. That'd be a killer.
Done.
And then you need to beat Kentucky at home, and quite frankly, I think Ole Miss will. And then at that point, I think you're okay, believe it or not, because of just the way the whole thing's done.
Yeah, TV wants the Blue Bloods.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the people that are putting this on,
Cinderella's cute for a weekend.
Yeah, but I don't want Cinderella this year. I want Blue Bloods. I want
recognizable names. And
I want recognizable names, recognizable uniforms. I do. I want the Oregons and the Ole Misses and those kind of people. I do. I do. I want those ratings numbers. Because if you're a Auburn fan sitting at home watching the NCAA tournament, you're going to watch an SEC team. You're not watching that MEAC versus something unless it gets to the final 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Or unless you've got them in your office pool. But where are you getting your mainstream watchers? They're watching Power Fives.
They are.
I want Oklahoma in the tournament. I want Kansas State in the tournament. I'm just naming names. I have no idea what these teams have done. I want Indiana and Purdue, and I want those teams. I want names. As many as I can get. Because it's a money grab.
And it's the year where you just tell them, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Whatever. You want to end, be better.
Yeah. Win more games. But, like with Ole Miss, for example, some of Ole Miss's net is a result of some of their COVID stuff. Who'd they end up playing, who'd they not end up playing, how they end up scheduling. Some of this, that's why sometimes I think you're going to throw some of this out. You look at conference schedules and who you beat. And look, Ole Miss would love to have those 2 games back, Georgia and Florida. That we would not be talking about bubbles right now. We would be talking about seed lines. But can't have them back. It's where you are. But they've played their way into interesting, and they're hot right now. They looked really good last night. That was as good as they've looked.
It was.
Beyond making shots.
Yeah. All right, we'll continue in second. Before we do that, I'll tell you about Northeast Spark. That's SPARC, service people across rural communities. 2 packages, the Ignite, the 100 Mbps, or what powers the Cartford Studio, the Blaze. That is 1 gig of internet power. Your hometown team bringing you world-class broadband, nesparc.com. 662-238-3159. Phone service available, as well as parental controls, network security, and more. If they're in your area, you should definitely have them hook it up for you, and you can call and find out if you're locally here in Oxford. Again, nesparc with a C.com. So I'm
so working on UCF at this moment, as a matter of fact. Okay. We're also brought to you by I already said Comer College Corner. We did a soft verbal. It's up on rebelgrove.com. I put it up on Podbean, SoundClouds. It should be everywhere by now. It's your one-stop. The College Corner is your one-stop Rebel shop. 2 locations in the Jackson area in Ridgeland. It's next to Fleet Feet in Flowood, next to Half Shell. If you don't live in Jackson, you can go to collegecornerstore.com. Plus, you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. They have the widest selection of Rebel gear in Central Mississippi. Again, collegecornerstore.com. We're also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. We taped a Amount of My Money podcast this morning. That'll be up for you soon. Pinnacle Trust is also home to the Pinnacle Trust 401k advisory services team. They can conduct a complimentary no-obligation benchmarking and analysis of your current 401k plan. I mentioned you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the Oxford Exxon Podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fees. They're also brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. If you're thinking about traveling this summer, you want to get the holidays, even if you want to book something for next year with the current prices, get in touch with John. He'll take care of you. All you got to do is give him some parameters, give him a budget. He will give you options that you will not find on your own. 901-494-3387, or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. We're also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into Oxford. OUB also is home to a commercial checking account, now paying 1% interest as long as you keep $10,000 in the account. It comes with fully interactive online banking. To learn more about OUB, go to liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668.
So, you get your graphic up here just quickly. The SEC baseball coaches have put out their preseason teams, polls for the season, and more. Ole Miss is picked to win the SEC West. They got 78 points to top that. They also got 7 first-place votes, which were the most in the conference. Mississippi State at second, 73 points, 3 first-place votes. Arkansas, a couple first-place votes, 72 points, really close there between the Bulldogs and the Razorbacks. Falling off a little bit to LSU in fourth with 2 first-place votes, and then off a cliff to a pretty tight race for 5, 6, and 7. A&M 5, Auburn 6, and Alabama 7. The SEC East, which is very loaded as well. Florida getting 13 of the 14 first-place votes, which tells you how stacked they are when Vanderbilt only gets 1. Florida 91 points, Vanderbilt 79, and then falling off to Tennessee 58, South Carolina 55, Georgia 51, Missouri 28, and Kentucky 23 to round it out. And if you'll notice there, from a scheduling standpoint, Ole Miss not getting a lot of favors. They don't play 3, 6, and 7 out of the SEC East. So RPI is not a problem.
It's a fix. I'll tell you that. Total fix.
What's better than doing it last year, other than the fact that a season last year would have been nice, because a lot of those aces are gone now. It's, I'm sure, talented dudes, but new dudes. You're not dealing with like the number 3 pick in the draft, the number 4 pick in the draft, the number 6 pick. I mean, when you play Auburn, you're not upset that Tanner Burns is no longer over there. When you play Georgia, you're not overly upset that Emerson Hancock is not pitching on Friday night. So it's a win because Ole Miss got their guys back, and a lot of people did not.
Vanderbilt's number 6 starter, by the way, just got drafted 2nd overall. So
it's the Hoover Saturday Special. Who is that kid? I don't know, but you'll know in a minute.
What do you throw? 102?
Yeah. Now pitching, freshman.
Yeah.
John Doe. It's like, whoa, 97.
His dad played in the bigs, huh? What's he throw? Oh, 99.
Yeah, like the whole press box just looks up for a minute and goes, oh, okay.
His first slider, everybody goes, whoa. Who's he?
Tells you how bad Alabama is. That they're picked dead last in the West, but they have a first-team pitcher.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard to do, frankly. Because they go, hey, this guy's going to win most of his games or at least make them competitive, but
So the Vandy SID in the box goes, yeah, he pitched on a Tuesday against Murray back in March.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
It's true. You will get the SID who he gets into the books. He goes, yeah, he threw 7 scoreless against Belmont on May 31st. Struck out 19. You're like, oh, all right. Yeah. Cool. That's fine.
He's fresh.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Leiter getting really offended here. He's only a second-team All-SEC pick. Baseball does the opposite of basketball. So in the SEC on the basketball list,
dude can pitch for me anytime he wants.
Leiter?
Yeah.
On the basketball list, they take like half the damn conference. There's like 25 people on the first team. And this makes no sense to me. In baseball, they only take 2 starting pitchers.
I know.
You play a weekend. Take 3.
Now, if this were basketball, the starting pitcher list would be like 30 of them. It'd be like every 1 and 2.
Everybody's preseason all SEC.
Everybody. 7 point guards.
Yeah.
6 shooting guards. Every single front court.
Yeah, there's like an at-large position. Just take who you want at that spot.
And this is the leftover spot.
Yeah. So a couple Ole Miss guys on the second team, Hayden Dunhurst at catcher and Tim Elko at third base there for the Rebels. But some pub for Ole Miss as they are listed there, number 1 in the West by the coaches. You know, it's just such an interesting deal because they got everybody back. They're going to pitch. That lineup is still interesting to me because from an experience standpoint, we've talked about this. They've only got 3 guys who have faced SEC pitching in their lineup. And I get they played Louisville last year. I get they played East Carolina and Indiana. But I'm still curious to see what that looks like over the course of a year because they have – it's interesting to have returners. It's a COVID thing. They have returners but not experience. And we've never really seen that before for a college baseball team. So I don't know. Lineup-wise, I'm intrigued, but if you told me there was some spells early where it looked a little funny, I wouldn't be overly shocked, especially because you've got a team that it's built more like a Major League Baseball team where all 9 can hit the ball out of the yard and they're going to strike out. So it's boom and bust and playing some analytics. Because, look, that's what happens. It trickles down from Major Leagues to college to high school and on down all the way into your 6 and under Little League team. But yeah, because I mean, they're not. It's not good. You're no longer in the era of hey, I'm going to steal some bases and bunt them over and try to drive them in and go up 1-0. No,
it's all
chicks launch angles.
Chicks dig the long ball.
Yeah, 1 through 9, it's launch angling that son of a gun.
Although, did you see? Because I love pitching ninja. He went through and took every. I can't use the term that he used. He found every 100 mile per hour plus fastball down the middle.
Okay.
Thrown in major leagues last year.
All right.
Well, guess how many hit home runs? Major league hitters.
Okay. I mean, 0.
0.
Okay.
At the end of the day, if you can throw it hard.
Well, there's a difference in hard and that hard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, there's a difference in 91 and 100.
91's getting turned around.
Yeah. But if you're throwing that 100-mile-an-hour stuff, phew. If you have anything off speed that makes them think about it, the number of people that can just dial it up and rip that stuff it's few and far between.
I don't know. I mean, they're going to be good. I mean, there's so much buzz around this team that it automatically always kind of makes me a little shaky, just because it's not because I don't think they're going to be good. It's just it's expectations that are very hard to live up to, especially in this league when Because somebody asked me for my prediction of the day, and I think I picked 40-16, 18-12. And somebody was like offended they lost 12 games. It's like, well, look at the schedule.
Oh, yeah, no, 18-12. If you offered that to Mike right now, he'd take it.
Oh, he would jump because that means like the number 3 national seed.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, you navigated that schedule at 18-12?
Of course.
Yeah.
That means your pitching held up.
Well, it means you didn't mean. Look, I do think that's one thing with all the pitching depth. They're going to win almost all of their non-con games, especially after that first weekend. I mean, we'll see what happens that weekend. But it's an easier non-con schedule because they don't play Southern Miss. The Governor's Cup got canceled. They just kind of play some dudes, and they have so much pitching depth that I do think after that first weekend, I wouldn't be stunned if they only lost like one non-conference game or something, and they kind of ran through those. So that's going to boost the resume a little bit there. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's a hard schedule, and there's a couple stretches there that are pretty tough.
I mean, look at it. Texas A&M has got a pretty good program. They're picked 5th in the West.
Auburn went to Omaha 2 years ago.
Yeah, and they're 6th.
Only ahead of Alabama.
LSU's won a little bit over time.
Yeah, 4th.
I mean, I can tell you I was up in Fayetteville, and they're excited about that team.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of buzz up there about their baseball team.
And a lot of it's just, hey, they're throwing it, you throw everybody in a hat, and then you got Alabama at the end. That's kind of what happens.
Yeah, my point is that you're going to lose some games.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to have a 9-game stretch against LSU, Texas A&M, and Arkansas and come out of that damn deal 8-1. That's not realistic.
Yeah.
It's the funniest part. You know this.
Yeah.
I get the biggest kick out of the baseball stuff because every game's the Super Bowl in a 60-game season. It's hilarious. You're going to lose games. You're going to lose series.
And one weekend, you're just going to get kicked in the dang teeth.
Yeah, you're going to have 2 weekends, one where you just beat the hell out of some team that you didn't expect, and you're going to have a weekend where you get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
Because they're clicking and you kind of weren't, and it gets away from you, and your bullpen gets a little depleted, and you lose an 11-6 game on Sunday to get swept. And then after we fire Bianco, we'll have a conversation about it.
Grind, 40 is a decent magic number to try to get to host a super. It's not necessarily that cut and dry, but yeah, that's sort of the number where you're at least getting into your conversation.
And then this year you don't know what that number is going to be because you don't know what all the COVID stuff's going to be. Like, you know, Texas A&M Florida basketball tomorrow or Saturday or whatever has already been postponed. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in baseball? And if it happens in baseball, do you have to postpone an entire series? And if you do you try to make that series up? Or do you erase those games? I mean, those are a lot of questions that I think everyone's hoping we don't have to answer, but odds are somewhere down the road you're going to have to answer those questions. Wouldn't you guess?
100%. I mean,
Ole Miss is supposed to play Alabama, and Alabama has contact tracing, and their whole team can't come, or you can't go there. Or
and what is the limit on player? Like, you know what I mean? I mean, because I assume it's like football. Hey, but you got to have pitchers. You know what I mean? Like,
my prediction is, unless COVID is just disappearing, my prediction is that the SEC tournament doesn't happen and they use that weekend as a makeup weekend.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the question there though is it's just you know we can all be hopeful for late May and see.
Sure, that's what I'm saying. I mean, unless
you
remember who you're talking to. I mean, I'm the one that wants to light fires. No, I absolutely want them to play. I mean, I want them to have tournaments. I want the kids to have tournaments. I mean, that's one of the reasons they come to programs like Ole Miss and Texas A&M and LSU and Arkansas is to play in Hoover.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seriously, I want them to have that opportunity. So I push back sometimes. I said this on the board today. I push back sometimes at people like, you're selfish. If I were selfish, I'd want another 2020 to happen. From a business standpoint, it was great. But I wouldn't wish that upon people that are subscribers and friends and stuff like that. I want them to be able to go to games, be able to go to Swayze and do all the things that they enjoy doing.
Yeah. Big Ben is not close. He asked that Ole Miss Super Regional states in the playoffs. What's worse for anxiety, Chase? I haven't been anxious about an Ole Miss baseball game since I was a student in 05. You're around, this is a job, it changes things in so many different ways. Dealing with people, getting your work done. I mean, I could go on for days and days and days. When Ole Miss made it in 14, I had a lot of joy for Mike. I've known him so long, and just him getting over the hump and getting there. You care about people, especially people who are fair to you, and that's the deal.
Oh, when Ole Miss won the SEC basketball tournament in Nashville, even though Andy was so pissed at me that he wasn't talking, I was super happy for the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he wouldn't speak. I think if he'd caught me in an alley, he would have killed me, but I was really happy for him.
Yeah.
I was happy for Nick Williams. I was happy for Murphy Holloway, but it's the part of this that you just – if you do it well, your fandom just disappears. It can't exist. It
impedes your work all the time, but after the game especially.
Well, we know people who are so emotionally involved that when Ole Miss loses, they can't write.
Mm-hmm. It takes like an hour to –
They have to mourn for a minute, and that just doesn't work. And if you've ever worked in newspapers like I have where you're on deadlines, man, I mean, I can't tell you how many Auburn football games I covered where the game going into the fourth quarter was essentially tied, and I had two stories going, one with Auburn winning and one with Auburn losing, and it was working on both of them simultaneously because that thing had to get filed.
And you call the editor and go, by God, put the right one in.
Oh, where you call and you say, hey, Jimmy.
Yeah.
All right, it was Auburn 27-24. They won. Make sure I sent you the one where they won because I had one where they lost.
Well, the Clarion Ledger screwed Bonner.
Bad.
A few years ago, they put the Arkansas win or the state win or whatever it was. They messed up his story because they put the wrong one in.
And that was a night game, and he had two stories going, one with Mississippi State winning and one with Arkansas winning.
Yeah. It was a close game. Might have even gone into overtime. It was a kick or something.
And often you send them both.
Yeah.
Because you're like, hey, I'm just going to put a topper on top of the one that matters.
Yeah.
I'm sending you both so that you can start getting a feel for the layout. Whew. They'll burn you.
And you get killed, and it's nothing you did wrong.
Oh,
at
yeah.
all.
You get mauled. It haunts you, and you're like, I didn't do it.
You throw another guy under the bus going, hey.
That was the best. The best one was fighting over headlines.
Because nobody understands it.
Coaches Cliff Ellis got so upset about a headline one day, and I didn't write the headline. To this moment, I don't even know what the headline said.
Yeah, you're not looking at it in the paper the next morning.
And he didn't believe me. And I said, I didn't write the headline. What did it say? And he reads me the headline. I don't know what it was. I'm like, that's kind of shitty. But I didn't do that. And he still, even though he knows you did it, you're the only person that he can be visibly upset at, really, in that moment. So
you're the one who gets yelled at.
You take the beating, and in that case, you're like, yeah, I'd be pissed off too, but I didn't do it. I didn't write it.
Yeah. Podcast brought to you in part by Tyson Drugs and G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. Get your immune support med packs, pharmacist-developed combinations of vitamins and supplements designed to boost your immune system and lung health. 30-day supply of vitamin C, zinc, NAC, probiotic, and vitamin D3. They deliver locally in the Oxford area. They also offer MedSync for your prescriptions the day you need them. 1 day a month, delivery or carry out there at your pharmacy. Again, to find out more in Oxford on South Lamar, it's 662-236-2222.
We're also brought to you by Whitney McNutt, Tommy Morgan Incorporated Realtors, serving you for all your real estate needs in Oxford and Tupelo. She sells condos, land, commercial, residential family homes, 662-567-2573, 662-842-3844. Also brought to you by Bain, Moss & Bowen, located in historic downtown Corinth. Their firm practices a wider range of law, from DUI defense to car wrecks to representing government entities. Bain, Moss & Bowen is the only firm in Mississippi made up of a sitting state legislator, a former assistant district attorney, and a former circuit court judge. Their experience is unmatched in that regard, and you can tap into it by visiting them at 618 East Waldron Street in Corinth, or by calling them at 662-287-1620. Also brought to you by Alpha Specialties, located at 1670 Highway 80 in Pearl, Mississippi. It's your trailer-specific professional. They've got load trail. They've also got Hallmark cargo trailers. One of the most, one of the most quality cargo trailers on the market today. Perfect for hauling goods to markets and shows, ATVs to deer camp, hauling race cars, and more. For podcast listeners, Alpha has spare tires and wheels starting at just $100. Full selection of trailer parts and accessories, hitches, winches, straps, and more. They do all types of truck accessories. You can get 10% off a yearly trailer service and inspection at Alpha's full-service shop, alphaofms.com, or 601-932-9798. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best-fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand-tailored, and tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi. One size fits one at BlueDeltaJeans.com. Blue Delta has been advertising with us for the past 2 years. We've always directed you to direct message them to set up a time to get measured. But now, whether you're coming to Oxford or not, you can visit BlueDeltaJeans.com to get measured by their new virtual tailor and design your own jeans. Just for our podcast listeners, enter discount code Rebel Grove, all lowercase, at checkout, and take 10% off your order. They're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. You'll say the same, too, after you get your pair of Blue Delta jeans. And we're brought to you by The Rogue. The Rogue, your destination for fine men's clothing. Their stylists hand-select pieces from top designers, and they work from lifestyle to nightlife. There's the perfect something for everyone at The Rogue. All the best items from Peter Millar, Martin Dingman, Jack Victor, Halsey, True Grit, and more. 4450 I-55 North in Jackson or therogue.com.
I did not see this last night where the Red Sox dealt Andrew Benintendi to the Kansas City Royals in a 3-team trade along with the New York Mets. Red Sox Chief Baseball Officer Shane Bloom says, for our fans, it's not the first time in the last year they've seen an important player leave. I know it's tough. I know it's painful. Yeah, mutiny a little bit there, I would assume, in Beantown as Mookie Betts headed to L.A. last year and now Benintendi. Oof.
Yeah, lots of rumors today in Chicago that Chris Bryant's headed to the Mets.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
End of an era.
For sure.
I mean, just all the way around. Because
sure.
even if they're a team that ends up being better than you think, it's still the end of an era. It's a different deal. Not the same feel as 16, 15, 17, somewhere in there.
Nope. It's different now. That what's interesting is that they're saying the Mets want to attach. There's a lot of pressure on the Cubs if you're going to trade these guys to get real prospect return. Not silly. They can't be a payroll cut at this point. So, imagine this one in today's environment. You take back Juris Familia and all of his junk for Chris Bryant, who's a model citizen. Got to take his contract, and that lets you get a bunch of prospects that the Mets wouldn't want to unload, but would have to for you to take Familia's deal. But from a PR standpoint, as angry as Cubs fans are in Chicago, especially, it's kind of a liberal area. The Ricketts family that owns the Cubs are fairly conservative. Not all of them, but most of them. And you trade Chris Bryant for Familia?
Dude.
Shoo. Imagine being the Cubs PR person. That's a long night at the office.
I mean,
that's where he or she says,
what's Boston trying to do?
Saving money.
And Benintendi's been a little down for a year or two.
Yeah, I mean,
he's named, but
you're not a contender, and if you're not a contender, you're wasting money off the heels of a pandemic, and you're up there, and who knows when you're going to be able to fill Fenway up again.
He was one hell of a college baseball player, though. Good God.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
One of the best of the last decade, frankly.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Anyway, I just went to ESPN. It's the one thing I did see a second ago. A lot of soccer on their front page today.
ESPN?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of soccer today.
Something happened?
I
know, man. Is it Man U or Man City is trying to get
you're way beyond my scope.
One of the household names that everybody knows when you hear it. I can't remember.
Like Messi or Neymar or somebody?
Messi.
Okay.
And I think Neymar got hurt.
Oh, really?
Neymar got hurt yesterday.
Oh, yeah, he has a hip injury. I see that now. He will miss the Barca-PSG clash.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever that means in English.
It's when Barca and PSG clash.
Did you see the injuries that Matt Stafford said he played with?
No, I did not.
Let's see, pulling up here from, who's this? Cameron De Silva says Matt Stafford revealed the laundry list of injuries he played through just in 2020. So just this past season with the illustrious Detroit Lions. Torn UCL and thumb and elbow, broken rib cartilage, and he tore something in his left knee and a subtalar right ankle sprain. All in 2020.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. He got beat up, man. They were bad.
He doesn't get the credit for being a tough player that he probably deserves.
I'm on this. I've been on this train.
I know. You think he actually plays well in LA?
Oh, I think they're actually a contender in that division now. Like a legitimate. I think he changes their whole outlook.
Because he's never had a defense like that.
He's significantly better than Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Well, in this league, a significant upgrade is a significant upgrade.
I mean, they were a second-round playoff team. I mean, it's not like they suck.
I know. I think he makes them a contender.
He's played through a ton of stuff. Still doing it too. I mean, he's well over a decade into the league now.
ESPN doing some predictions. They've got Jimmy Garoppolo as the Patriots quarterback in 2021. Says the Jets will trade Sam Darnold to the 49ers for second and third round picks. These are predictions.
Okay.
Browns will extend Baker Mayfield, making him one of the league's highest paid players. Ben Roethlisberger will return, they say. The Texans will not trade Deshaun Watson. Colts will trade up in the draft. They're currently at 21 and take a quarterback. Jags will be active on defense. Titans will be active on defense. They'll almost have to be. Chiefs will sign Sammy Watkins despite a tight salary cap situation. Derek Carr will not remain a Raider.
Oh.
Chargers will draft left tackle to make sure they protect Justin Herbert. That would be smart. Dak Prescott will not sign a contract extension.
I agree with that one.
The Giants will sign Hassan Reddick to fill a hole at edge rusher. Philadelphia will draft a quarterback in the first round to compete with Jalen Hurts. Well, that's just – if he's not your quarterback, he's not your quarterback. If he is your quarterback, he's your quarterback.
Mm-hmm. You can peg teams based off what they feel like their quarterback right now as far as what they're doing and what kind of limbo is going on with them.
Alex Smith will want to keep playing, but he won't do it in Washington. The Bears will let Allen Robinson II walk in free agency. I know the Saints have talked about him a good bit.
Yep.
Lions won't draft a quarterback. Vikings will be part of the quarterback carousel. Falcons will go quarterback first round. Matt Ryan's 36 years old. The Panthers will try to find a way to trade for Deshaun Watson. I can see that. Jameis Winston will win the Saints quarterbacking job and guide the Saints to at least a first round playoff win.
Yeah.
Multiple high-priced Bucks players will restructure their existing contracts to keep as much of the team together as possible.
I'm by that.
The Rams will piece together a trade to bring in a speedy wide receiver.
Might as well because you're all in anyway.
The Seahawks will either make Jamal Adams the NFL's highest-paid safety or trade him.
Oh.
Those are their picks. This is why the NFL's king. NFL's king because their calendar,
perfect.
Unlike a lot of calendars,
It's perfect.
is perfect. That it never goes away.
No. It's camps and trades and seasons and preseasons and playoffs. And
the season ended yesterday when a drunk Tom Brady
throws the
tossed
trophy
the
through the
Lombardi.
ocean. Yeah.
And now they start the offseason.
Yeah.
And they pace it where nothing can happen, really, until, was it March 1st?
Yeah.
And so there's this flurry of activity then, and then by the time you get tired of, okay, let's break that down. Now you launch into 6 weeks of draft.
Oh, yeah.
And then the draft happens, and then you break the draft down for a few days, and then you have mini camps.
Yeah.
They only take a little bit of a break, like in June, and then in July, the camps start. And here you go.
Every other sport gets out of the way and succumbs to their calendar and then figures it out.
Yeah. Well, the NFL says we don't really care. Like this year, the NFL on Christmas Day, we're like, hey, NBA, screw off.
That's true.
And the NBA goes, well, we're still not going to play on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
We don't care if you do. Yeah, I mean, I keep waiting for the NFL to schedule a playoff game on the night of the national championship just to kind of go, hey, just in case y'all wondered.
Yeah. We talked about that. Had the Browns had trouble, do you just move it back one day and play Steelers-Browns at like 6 o'clock or whatever and go,
Well, to me, the day that you knew that the NFL was just the super king, even in a COVID year, the Masters was going on in the fall, and the ratings just went crashed.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was all the stories yesterday about the Super Bowl ratings were down, but they were still higher than what they were in 2017. They didn't crater; they just dropped.
Yeah, a lot of reasons.
There's a lot of stuff there, and some of it is streaming, but their overall number was down, but it wasn't so far down that it was like a crisis.
Last thing here, I get it's tradition or whatever you want to call it. Are you surprised the Cubs have gone back to this year? They're going to play the majority of their games in the day again. They have 47 120 games this season.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised.
After last year of having more night games than day games.
Yeah, a little surprised.
Yeah. First pitch for opening day, Cubs Pirates, 1:20 p.m.
Mm.
So yeah, 47 home games of the 81 for the Cubs.
I prefer the day games.
I mean, I get it, but for players, it's hard.
For players, it's really hard. And in some ways, if you can get used to it, it can become an advantage for you because it's brutal for opposing players.
Yeah. So, anyway, interesting thing there from Tim Stebbins, I believe, who said that. But nonetheless, all right, I'll be back on Monday to talk to you guys. Appreciate everybody in the stream, everybody hanging out in podcast form as well. Check rebelgrove.com. Got some baseball coming tomorrow. Got more basketball. Ole Miss in South Carolina from Columbia, South Carolina on Saturday. And then anything going on with Jeff Lebby as UCF gets close to naming its head coach. So all that stuff going on, and we will talk to you again in a few days. Take care.